This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime in association with Micromax.
Hi, and thanks for watching On Art. I'm Anu Subramanian. Tonight, we traverse the classic and the contemporary as we get to know some heritage artists and archivists of Gond and Madhubani art. We're very excited to bring you the story of men and women who are aiming to collect 10,000 stories from India's partition and hear what's new at Mojarto.com. This is On Art. Storytelling makes us come together. It makes us look at the past and forward. It makes us feel deeply. All these same things that culture does. But in the case of India's partition, these stories don't exist, at least not publicly. But the 1947 Archive Project aims to change that. And for our first story of the evening, we have a feature on how they're doing so.
Long years ago, they beset with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our place, not only or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
Rudyard Kipling said, if history were taught in the form of stories, it would never be forgotten. But what about when something happens and there's no one there to tell the story? Did it happen at all? Do we just let ourselves forget? In the case of India's partition, an aging population is the gatekeeper to a crucial moment in India's history. But their stories are rarely told. 70 years after India's partition, a group of young men and women scattered across the planet aim to collect 10,000 first-hand stories from India's partition. We followed some team members from the 1947 Partition Archive who are inching closer to that goal, one eye-opening interview at a time.
बंटवारे के समय आपका कैसा एक्सपीरियंस रहा ओवरऑल जनरल और आपकी जो कहानी रही आप कैसे आए
So in this way we've recorded stories from 14 countries. Over 500 people have contributed to recording the stories and we've recorded over 2,500 stories.
I think oral history telling is very important for many reasons. One, that when you have people living among you who are living witnesses of history, it is a disgrace not to give them the respect of listening to them, because the way that they have experienced that history is what that history means for them and how they will take it further into their lives and the lives of the next generation.
Having borne witness to the tragedy of partition, many of the men and women carry lasting emotional scars. And, after 7 decades, memories change as they are informed by new information, media, even repression. Archive founder Gunita Singh Bhalla says the organization's preoccupation is less with ensuring each story bears 100% accuracy. Instead, the importance is in preservation. Armed with just a camcorder and a list of questions, story collectors visit homes of partition witnesses around the world.
The interview is taking place at Rohini, New Delhi and is being conducted on behalf of the 1947 Partition Archive. My name is Ritika Pobley and currently I'm working with the 1947 Partition Archive as an oral history apprentice. We ask them a lot about their life before the partition and we try and understand the sociological conditions that prevailed at that time, about agrarian traditions, about schools, about village, about how life was led then. The association with partition can be varied for different people. It can be, of course, nostalgia. Most of the times it is. For a lot of times, for people, the only association that they have is with trauma. For a lot of them, it is about your childhood. So I think that they're very evocative scents and smells and sights. And a lot of times, like with what happens with oral, with memory, of course, when you're working with memory, is that these things keep coming back to you. So when we ask them those questions, and many times that they go into different accounts and they'll tell you more detailed things that they remember. I can't say that. Yeah. Bhaiya, aap seedha. Now?
We followed Ritika as she interviewed a partition survivor in his home outside New Delhi.
Hello, namaste auntie.
Hi, how are you?
Bas badhiya. Kaise hain aap?
Good.
In India, I think as a culture, we've not really become accustomed to the idea of cultural mourning as a nation. And I think the partition has a big role to play in that.
What began with Gunita's curiosity to interview men and women willing to speak has grown into a worldwide project. Today, there are 500 volunteers who, over the last 5 years alone, have collected more than 2,500 stories.
The archive interviews people from all over the world because the backbone of our story collection effort is to crowdsource it. So anyone can join in. Yeah, and we have stories coming in from all over the world, from places like Hong Kong and Spain, and also from countries where there's a stronger South Asian diasporic presence like Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, the US. So yeah, everywhere.
The subject is also gaining interest, as a new generation of South Asians and diaspora want to know more about a period in Indian history that is seldom discussed.
British India, उसके बंटवारे के पहले का time कैसा था और उस वक्त कैसा?
The people who are recording the stories are a lot younger. There's this amazing intergenerational connection that happens. So that sort of connection we're losing very fast in our modern world. This sort of bond is becoming more and more scarce in our modern society. And hence, when young people experience this, they can sometimes get addicted because it's a very beautiful way to connect to another human.
This was evident at a recent event held by the 1947 Partition Archive.
Really interestingly, a lot of young people have expressed interest in the event, and of course we have the survivors and the witnesses who we already archived and things. But yeah, look around you, like there's so many young people who are interested in the partition. I think it's fantastic.
Our generation remembers, but what about the generation next and the generation next? They don't remember what happened. How many millions of people were killed, and what horrible atrocities were happening all over on both sides of the border.
Urvashi Butalia, who has authored 2 books about partition, is involved with the organization.
It's an amazingly rich resource of stories about partition, the kind of work that should have been done.
And this project solidifies the importance of oral history in the understanding of our past.
About 20 kilometers from district Dijigha,
Achha.
which is the nearest district to near Balochistan. It was actually Punjab at that time. And it is about...
After all, the world's largest migration saw 15 million displaced individuals and more than 1 million deaths, which can perhaps only be understood in smaller increments. Real, personal insights into India's bloody past. The 1947 archive is based all around the world. See if you can get involved. You take a quick break and we will too. On Art, we'll be right back.